Hello, and welcome to the Love is Stronger Than Fear podcast. I'm Amy Julia Becker, and this is Season 1, Prepare Him Room, Advent Reflections. I'm so happy you're here with me to consider what happens when God shows up in the midst of the eggnog, gift wrap, holiday cards, tinsel, and let's be honest, the stress and the joy of this time of year. Thank you for listening. I am sneaking in one more bonus episode of this podcast, mostly because I couldn't resist. There was a bonus episode at the very beginning, and there will now be a bonus episode at the very end of this first season of the Love is Stronger Than Fear podcast. I'm calling this a bonus episode because it doesn't appear in the ebook that most of the other podcast episodes come from. But I still wanted to include it because this is about family. And as we approach the end of the holiday season, with New Year's still to come, sometimes we need to be reminded of the title of this episode. Jesus came from a dysfunctional family. Here you go. We had Marilee's parent-teacher conference a few weeks ago. We heard about her leadership in the classroom and the play she's writing with her friend Nathan. She's kind to the other kids, she loves math, and she loves writing. She especially loves writing acrostic poems. At the end of our time together, her teacher pulled out one poem written to the theme of family. It begins as expected, sweet, happy, something any child of the 21st century might write and share on social media. As it continues, it builds to a crescendo of perfect familyness with the line, inviting love into my house and giving love away. I must admit my heart swelled when I read it, and I thought, maybe we're doing something right as parents. And then I read the conclusion, laughing as a family, yelling at my brother. The end. I love this poem. Why? I love it because it isn't the fake version of our family. I love it because it represents who we are. We are a family that laughs and yells. We are a family that sometimes thinks nasty thoughts about other people. We are a family that prays for other people. We are a family with high ideals and expectations, and also a family that recently watched the movie Major League together. Definitely not one for the 7-year-old. We screw up sometimes, we get it right sometimes, we laugh, we yell. Family is often on my mind this time of year. The time between Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's is rife with decisions about which family members we want or are obligated to see. For so many of us, going home for the holidays means walking back into old patterns of teenage petulance, codependency, resentment, and snarky remarks towards siblings and parents. We laugh, we yell. I've taken comfort in an unusual biblical text as I've thought about our little band of dysfunctional humans, trying, and often failing, to love each other, love God, and love our neighbors. As I wrangle with extended family about who is going where on what day, who is disagreeing with whom about how the presents should be purchased, who is offending who by not staying long enough or staying too long, or who is worried about this person's drinking problem and that person's parenting and that one's passive-aggressive nature, in the midst of it all, I take comfort in Jesus' family tree. As you may remember, if you've been listening to this podcast, the Gospel of Matthew begins with a rendering of Jesus' lineage that ends with Joseph. While this is a list of names that I am tempted to skip past, I've been pausing to consider them and the truth they offer. Jesus came from a dysfunctional family. He emerged out of people who yelled at each other. He, light and life, came from people who betrayed one another, who had adulterous affairs, who turned their back on God. These weren't just Jesus' distant relatives. Jesus was born as an illegitimate son to an unmarried mother, with a human father who had considered divorce. Jesus was born as an outcast from society, with parents who seemed to have been cut off from their family. It seems likely that the rest of the clan thought Joseph and Mary were delusional, since they claimed that God himself had put a stamp of approval on what seemed to be Mary's obvious sexual sin. So in the midst of the intrigue and rumors, Jesus is born. Jesus, the one who will save the people from their sins, the one who fulfills the promise that God will be with us. God will be with us in the laughter and the yelling, in the sin and in the glory. I take great comfort and great hope that Jesus can be born in our midst day after day, that light and life and salvation, good news for us and for all people, can enter into our dysfunction and pain, enter into our extended family's dysfunction and pain, enter into our world's dysfunction and pain. Advent is a season of waiting, a season of longing, a season of anticipation. Christmas is a time of celebration. In the midst of the argument over who needs to sit next to Aunt Gertrude and listen to her stories, in the midst of the pain over loved ones who aren't here to gather around the table, in the midst of the argument over who needs to sit next to Aunt Gertrude and listen to her stories, in the midst of the pain over loved ones who aren't here to gather around the table, in the midst of the unhealthy decisions about food and drink, the glitz and glitter and spending too much and caring too much about appearances, in the midst of our dysfunctional lives and our dysfunctional families, Jesus promises to be God with us. He promises to welcome us as we are into the family of God. Merry Christmas.
Thanks for listening to Season 1 of the Love is Stronger Than Fear podcast, Prepare Him Room. For more information, including a free PDF version of Prepare Him Room, go to www.amyjuliabecker.com. While you're there, you can also find out about Amy Julia's books, White Picket Fences, Small Talk, and A Good and Perfect Gift, and when she'll be speaking in your area. Thanks again for listening, and please do consider reviewing this podcast wherever you got it, and please share it with someone else who might enjoy it.